It's been a while since I've had a gardening update, so I thought I would do one and catch you up on some of the stuff I've been doing around here. I have my sister-in-law to thank for this big pile of leaves. I'm going to be using those in my compost pile and also as mulch in some areas. Back in late October, I collected a whole bunch of rose hips. Every few inches around one of the hollow logs that I plant flowers in, I stuck them in the ground. Then I just covered them up with loose soil and watered them with a watering can just to moisten the area. I'll update in the spring if any of the seeds sprout. This is just a little experiment, so we'll see what happens in the spring. We feed the birds during colder weather, and that helps entertain us while we're waiting for time to plant. It can get pretty active out by the feeders and sometimes a little noisy too. I got a couple of Cape Sundew plants to help control fungus gnats, and that's working out pretty well. I did a video on that with some time lapses, so if you want to check that out, I'll put a link down below. I'm experimenting with doing some leaf cuttings and trying to grow new plants from them, and that's working out very well. In a few weeks, the leaves started to sprout little plantlets. I waited for each to have several stems before I transferred them to pots. Here's a look at just how tiny they are. They haven't grown very much at all, but so far, most of them are still alive. The largest of my two plants looks like it's getting ready to have a flower, so I think I'm going to let it go to seed, even though that means the plant might die. In late January and early February, it was time to plant some pepper and eggplant seeds. I plant those much earlier than our tomatoes and some other plants. This year I'll be growing a few varieties that I've never grown before, a few that I've grown before but not last year, and a few that I grew last year. In this group is Lipstick, Lesia, and Jimmy Nardello. I did a video comparing the taste of these three last year, so if you want to check that out, I'll put a link down below. I grew New Mex Big Jim chili pepper last year, and it's a good one. It's a mildly hot chili pepper. Mega Gold is another one I grew last year, and this one is very productive, very large, and tastes very good. Shishito is another pepper that we like really well. We just put a little olive oil in a pan, heat them till they're blistered, and they're very good. We can eat a whole plate of them. Albino bullnose is a sweet pepper that's found a place in our garden the last several years. It's a pepper that grows on compact, small plants and is fairly productive. We didn't grow Buena Mulata last year, but we're going to bring it back this year. It's a hot pepper that runs about 30 to 50,000 on the Scoville scale, and it adds a lot of color to your garden and is very productive. Chinese 5-color hot pepper is another pepper that adds a lot of color to the garden. It's a fairly hot pepper, coming in about 30 to 50,000 like the Buena Mulata. And I thought I'd bring it back just because it is an interesting little pepper. I usually grow a few ornamental peppers, and Explosive Ember is one that I've grown for several years, and I'm growing it again this year. Jigsaw is an ornamental pepper that I grew for the first time last year, and I liked it so well that I'm growing it again this year. It's just a gorgeous pepper plant. Matoyo is a very mild eggplant and one of my favorite eggplants to eat. Along with the tray of eggplant and pepper seedlings, I also have some sweet potato slips that are just starting to sprout well. Right now I have 7 different varieties growing. I have Okinawan purple, Molokai purple, 2 different varieties from the grocery store that are unnamed, a red garnet, a Myanmar, and an unnamed purple variety from Trader Joe's. I recently planted another tray of mostly peppers and a few eggplants and a couple of other things. I'm going to need a lot of seedlings this year because I have a lot of pepper projects, and I'm going to do a little bit of experimenting with some grafting. If you haven't subscribed yet and you want to follow along and see how all this stuff does, please subscribe. We'll see you next time.